Alrighty, it's time for another update. Day 28 update. Man, it's nice. It's been almost a little over 4 weeks already. Been going after this. So here are results. Last week was Labor Day weekend, which I talked about that already, but fixed it. Came back strong, right? And what's interesting is didn't require a lot of over-exercising. It actually required just getting right back on plan. My mentor, Joe Dillon, says if you ever mess up, don't look back. Don't think and dwell on the mistakes because that's how you get into spirals. Just literally get right back on the plan, and sure enough, it worked. So I had spiked up to 247. Remember, I started this thing at 250. I had dropped down almost to 244, I think it was. And then I ate and popped, no, it was at 243. And popped right back up the following update to 247, which was last week after my Labor Day escapades, my 2 meals that threw me completely out. But this week, down to 241. Yeah, baby. And lost the weight. Brought it back down. So we're at 241, almost. We're 9 pounds down now from the beginning of this thing at 250. So I'm happy about that. I've been watching my weight measurement. It has come down from, I think, around 46.5 when we started this thing. I'm now down to 44.75. So almost 2 full inches off my waist. The disappointing thing has been I wasn't able to get back into ketosis all week long. My blood glucose has dropped from last week. It was at a 111 down to 74. So that's blood sugar's coming down, but my ketosis didn't. And so I was talking to my mentor, Joe Dillon, today and asked him that exact question. I was like, what's going on? Is it because I haven't been exercising? He was like, yep, that's exactly it. So it does look like, even though when it comes to losing weight and all that, you got to be careful, right? Because now I'm losing lean body mass. That's 6 pounds that disappeared. That's just a lot of that Chinese food and all the carbs that I ate that was just disappearing. But if you're trying to lose fat and be in ketosis, you do need to do a little bit. It's not a lot. So what I plan to add in this week, I did a heavy hands workout today. I plan to have, which is basically just walking with weights, lifting, very low impact. So that way I don't get into overtraining mode. So I'm doing that 3 or 4 times this week, and that's about it. So I'll add that back in and see how well I get back into ketosis. Then I'll be burning fat again, and that's kind of my goal. So I didn't actually do any exercise last week and lost 6 pounds. So look back at the YouTube shorts, and you'll see what I actually was eating and how I checked in. But it was pretty much just getting right back on plan, eating my eggs, sausage, bacon, and that was pretty much it. And I was able to get back to where I need to be, back on track. So I think this month will probably be a 10-pound month, right? Which is right around a little bit more than the 6 to 8 pounds I want to lose every month. But I'd still say overall it's a good month. And it kind of highlights something that I've learned that makes kind of this journey and this diet more of a lifestyle than a diet. That's profound, right? Is that it just kind of fits my lifestyle, right? It fits who I want to be. You can have an off week and get back on it. And also the whole thing that I'm trying to figure out is not how do I crash diet and crash lose a bunch of weight, but how do I fit into a healthy lifestyle without having to completely go on this crash diet. And also really the main thing I wanted was how do I build the healthiest possible life for the long term, right? You hear these biohacking, right? And the biohackers that talk about hacking life, right? And figuring out what is optimal for their lives. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do in a sense, right? I don't want, boot camp style getting in shape or, being a D1 athlete again and the way we used to work out. That's not sustainable forever. At some point you're going to get old. So what are the things I can start now and do forever that'll keep me healthy as long as humanly possible? That's my goal. All right. So what have I learned in that process, in doing this for the last couple of years and recording these videos over the last couple of weeks? Here's what I've learned about this lifestyle. Right. First and foremost is that the joy of food goes away. That's what, you hear about foodies and you hear about people who just love to go to this specific restaurant because it's over this way. Like all those conversations I'm immune to them now, if you will. Or at least I can't participate. I don't really go out to eat much anymore because, when you're pretty much, especially if you're doing uniform eating, which is even more strict, where you pretty much eat either the same 3 meals a day or the same meals a day, or literally the exact same thing all day, every day. For me, it's sausage and eggs. I love that. I eat that almost every single day as one of my meals. And then little smokies with some pork rinds. And that's usually all about, I'm eating 7 days a week. So that didn't happen overnight, though. That was like my first 2 years getting to what are the things I like, right? Because what happens is your taste buds change, and as you're eating more keto and more specifically, because you're trying to figure out what things do different things to your body, right? And so what I found is eggs specifically keep my blood sugar low and help me either stay or get into ketosis the fastest possible. Then I like the sausage because it rounds it out. And then sometimes I want something crunchy, so I got pork rind, so that works for me. And then the little smokies are just something a little bit different. And then now what I've added in, now that I'm trying to go more carnivore, is more red meat, so steaks. So a ribeye steak, so a ribeye cap steak from Costco, those are phenomenal, super fatty. Throw a bunch of salt on them, some seasoning, throw them in the oven, and then pull them out and throw butter all over it. Inside of the drippings, make an au juice, right? Add butter to the au juice. So super fatty, make that a super fatty steak. That'll keep me going for 2 days. I mean, that's what I eat, and that's it. And I enjoy it now. But in terms of the joy of let's go down to this restaurant and get this fancy special sushi, this, that, or the other, I don't do any of that anymore. And also the other joy is I used to eat not to enjoy the taste of food, but to enjoy the fullness of food. I just love to eat. A buffet was my best friend. I love it. It's delicious. In fact, they would be intimidating to me. Those are the only things that intimidate because I couldn't finish it all. I just love finishing everything presented, right? And going back and getting more. Whenever you walk into a restaurant, what's the biggest burger you got? Eat that, right? I just love the McDonald's, the Burger Kings, the Carl's Jr., and my favorite meal at each place, right? That I loved, and complete with sides. And I mean, you know that if you've been overweight, you know the thing when you get your burger a certain way with the double Whopper with cheese, with 2 packets of ketchup specifically to put on, then the onion rings on the side with the buffalo sauce and a large fry and a tall Sprite. That's my order. The Burger Lounge, I have a specific order there. Every place I'd have my specific order, my specific things, and that's gone now, right? Every once in a while it pops up, but it's not. So I'm actually overjoyed by that, which is nice. Like those are cravings, they're mental, they're not physiological. So I just eat now whatever I want. So that feeds into the next thing, right? Is those things before had me trapped. I'd eat and eat and eat and just would not stop, right? It was alarming. It was ridiculous. That's how you end up 309 pounds, right? You eat it and it gets on your body. But with this diet, and so that's why I like this diet. So in every other diet, right, every other way of eating, there's some type of restriction, calorie restriction in the amount of food you eat, right? When I was getting big, I never restricted myself. I eat whatever I want. Order 2, get 3 meals. Yeah, I'd go to a restaurant and try to order. I loved when Grubhub came around because if I went to a restaurant or went through a drive-through, I didn't want them to, think a certain kind of way, but I would always order 2 or 3 meals. And it would just be me. It's for other people at home. No, it's just for me, right? So with this diet, I can eat as much as I want, right? Until stuffed even if I want to. But here's what's fascinating about it is because fat is more dense than carbs and protein. It's 9 calories instead of 4 like the other two. You're not going to eat as much. You just physically can't. Like at some point, you're just done. I know on the vegan side, I tried that a while ago too. And they're like, eat as much salad as you want. And, you can't eat too much because it's so full of water. And this is a very similar concept, but this is where the food is dense. Like you put 2 pounds of steak in front of you, at some point, you're going to stop eating. Like you just can't eat 3 pounds of steak. It's just so fatty. And the more fatty, the better. The butter on there, having the juice, having really fatty cuts like ribeyes and ribeye cap steaks. You just stop, eating. How many hot dogs can you eat? Pork, little smokies. How many pork rinds can you eat? At some point you just get tired of it, and it's very filling. You notice you're full faster. I love this way better than trying to count calories or any of that or restrict my calories. And it's fantastic if you don't want to meal prep. I'm also extremely lazy. I always say I don't know how to cook. I know how to microwave. That's about it. So all my sausages, now my steaks, I started eating steaks because my sister gave me an air fryer. So now I have an air fryer, which out in the microwave, I just put the steaks in there, season them, put them in there, 8 minutes, boom, done. So all my meal prep is 2 minutes, and that's when I decide to eat. Because the other thing about it being filling is not just you get full faster, but you're full longer. So what you'll find is it becomes very easy to go from 3 or 4 meals a day down to 1 or 2. And that's it. And you feel full all day long. and you're fine. You don't eat as much, and you don't get hungry as much either. So, and it doesn't take as long to prepare the food, right? Because a steak is a steak. You just throw it in the pan, fry it on both sides, call it done. Or put it in the air fryer like I do. And the sausages, boiled eggs is what I eat when I eat my eggs. So I'll just go to the store. Smart & Final has a dozen eggs, right? Already boiled. They're in packs of 2. It's perfect. So I just throw the sausages for 2 minutes in the microwave, open up the eggs, meal creation complete. By the time most people have finished prepping their meal, I've already eaten mine and I'm done, moving on to the next thing. So it's simple. It works for my lifestyle. So that's the second thing. I can eat as much as I want. Third thing, I don't really need to work out. Like you saw last week, I was able to drop 6 pounds, right? Just by getting back into my routine and how I eat, eating less often, eating more fat and no carbs, right? It was a little daunting, daunting and frustrating because I didn't get into ketosis, but we know why, right? Like I also wasn't moving, so I wasn't expending any energy. So even though I was losing weight, it was pretty much all that water and the carbohydrate and the excess that I had packed on by throwing in those 2 meals. But in this sense you don't have to, right? We did that RMR video. If you didn't see it, watch 2 weeks ago. Your body is expending energy all day long. That's your resting metabolic rate. So as long as you're in a caloric deficit, it's going to have to get energy from somewhere. So and if you're in ketosis, it'll get it from fat, right? It's a pretty simple thing. So that's why I can lose 7 pounds without really trying, right? Because the food that I was putting in wasn't being put onto my body, right? So I was in a caloric deficit just by the nature of keeping my brain alive, keeping my body alive, right? Sitting in this chair upright, right? There's energy being expended. What this means is I don't have to do a whole lot of excessive working out like I used to back in my military days or my college athlete days, right? Or even nowadays, you hear about CrossFit and high intensity interval training, literally 5,000 to 10,000 steps, if that, a day, or heavy hands, right? Depending on what I want to do for the day. Sometimes, and to me, when I'm walking, I'll be on a meeting. I've got a treadmill right here, a treadmill that I use when I'm on a meeting, and I'll just be walking, right? Getting a couple steps in. So I'm double tapping. I'm getting my work done, and I'm getting my walking in. And that's all I really need to do. And then when I want to turbocharge it, like this week, when I want to lose weight faster, then I'll add in more, right? So I know there's some people that lose like 30 pounds in 30 days, right? Like that's possible on this diet because you get into ketosis and then exercise a lot, right? Expend energy, and the weight just falls off. It happens. I just don't want to go that hard with this thing because then you will lose lean body mass as well because you'll lose a lot more than you need to, faster than you can. I just want to lose 1 or 2 pounds a week and I'll be good. Okay. And also the main reason I love this diet and why I like it is there's a metric. I'm a data guy. I'm a geek, right? I love holding myself to a standard, being able to say, aha, I'm doing good. I'm not. That's that keto metric. As long as you're above 0.5 to 0.1 in ketosis, you're burning fat. Boom, boom. Too easy. Too easy. I love it. Right? I love being able to say that. Whereas you jump on all this other stuff where you're counting points, you're counting calories, you're counting macronutrient ratios, you're building meal planning and you're prepping, you're doing all these things and you're still not even sure, am I in the right phase? Like, what am I burning? What am I not? And, you add in the DEXA scan and the RMR type stuff where I now have numbers where I can literally plan out with math how much weight I'm going to lose this week. Here's my resting metabolic rate. I've added in this much exercise. Okay, this is how much I'll burn all week long. Here's how much I'm eating all week long. Do the math, divide by 3,500 calories per pound. That's how many pounds you're going to lose. Simple. Golly, I love metrics, right? So that's a big thing. Now, one of the big risks. So I couldn't say this wouldn't be a true learning if I just gave all the things I love about it. There are some things that are frustrating, right? The one thing is the cravings. If you fall off the wagon, it's really like I mentioned with my Labor Day, you've got to be precise. You can set yourself back a month worth of time in a weekend, right? And it's just so you've got to be super disciplined. I mean, the worst thing to have happen is after you have one bad meal, like 1 or 2 bad meals isn't going to throw you off, or 1 or 2 bad days a lot of times. You can get back. The worst is when it becomes, screw it. I'm off anyway. And I used to do that a lot when I was starting this thing out. That's why it's taken me 3-4 years to get to where I'm at. is I would get so frustrated that it was like, why do I have to be so perfect? Why is my body so carb sensitive? Why do I have to be precise? And so, you know what? If I was off, I'd be like, you know what? It's going to take me 2 weeks to get back anyway. What's one more day? Let me go to Burger King today. I haven't had that in a while. And then the next day, but let me go to Carl's Jr. I haven't done that in a while. Or, I haven't had a pizza. Pizza would be good. And so it'd be this 2 week spiral. And now I'm just digging that hole deeper and deeper and deeper. Right. So that's tough. That's one of the tough parts about it. The other thing too is it also doesn't let you be friends with many people, or let me not say be friends with many people. Not a lot of people want to talk about it, and I don't either, which is why this has been so helpful because I'm just talking to a camera, right? So if anybody wants to listen, that's fine, but you're not much fun at parties when all you're talking about is ketosis and keto. I learned that the hard way. That wasn't fun. But interestingly enough, if you can get to where you don't need to do that. Like now, I don't even talk to people unless they ask me a specific question about it, and I'll be very quick about it. My answer, I don't even talk about it. I don't need to, because what I found is I enjoy doing it for me. That was a realization that happened. I just do it for myself. I'm not doing this for anybody else. I'm not trying to preach. I'm not trying to do anything else. I just want to find what works for me specifically and my lifestyle and what I do. But it is very tough if you're a very social person. It helps that I'm an introvert. I don't go out much. I get my groceries delivered. I don't leave the house. I work through Zoom every day. This is how I get my human interaction, is through the computer. So I'm able to keep my house clean. So I don't have any carbs in the house whatsoever. That just doesn't happen. So it actually is harder for me to cheat that way. I'd have to go downstairs to the garage, get in the car, and drive somewhere to go cheat. That's kind of difficult. The problem with that is if any of that enters the house. So if I have guests come over, if I go visit somebody, it's almost like a switch goes off. Like I have to be very prepared, eat ahead of time, bring my own food, have all kinds of objections ready, because the switch flips. Like we saw what's the first video. Go back to video 1 if you want to see how this whole channel started. If I have that first bite, it's like a drug. It's like an alcohol. It's over. It's a wrap. Like it's almost like I can't stop. Just eat. So those are the two major things that are profoundly have just settled into me and about this lifestyle and about this diet. So yeah, I think I'll end it now. I'll talk to you next week. See you guys. Bye.